So we've got a wonderful reference picture here for having a go at painting reflections, and watercolour is a wonderful medium to do this. So let's give it a go for a demonstration. This was done a few years ago, but I thought I'd talk you through the painting and see what's going on. So let's get started with this demo straight away. So I've got an accurate drawing straight in with the paint, and the colours I've got here are yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, lemon yellow, Zion crimson, burnt sienna, and I've got cerulean blue. There's also burnt umber there, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and neutral tint. I also now use lavender and pyrrole orange on my palette for my videos I'm doing now. So this was a few years ago. So we've got to think about what we're doing with watercolour, and what I mean by that is we need to make sure we get our tonal values right and we paint things in the right order with the right edges. So that's hard or soft edges. So I'm going in with the sky first and painting the water. They're the lightest values of the painting. And I'm just lifting off paint there, I see, because I probably went a bit too dark with that. And what would happen is, if I left it too dark, that when I come to paint the reflection of the bridge, it just wouldn't have the right contrast. But I will go slightly darker in the foreground because that will create a sense of depth. And quite often I end up doing that at the end of the painting. So I was just sort of thinking ahead maybe on this one and put it in first. And we will get soft edges by painting wet into wet. And to be fair, that's probably the tricky thing with painting watercolour is understanding how damp the paper is, how much water to paint ratio is on the brush. But paint regularly and you'll figure it out. That I've seen with the members on my website that you know, they're soon getting to grips with it and their paintings are improving. And you know, that's what I see, that once you understand about tonal values and you've painted a lot of paintings, you start to understand what's going on with what's going on the paper. And it's so difficult, but it does come. So the trees off in the distance in the photo are probably green, maybe a grey green, but I tend to go more towards blue because it pushes them back and again adds more sense of depth in the scene. And that's all we're trying to do. You know, that the photograph is a photograph, you know, and what we see is very different. You know, we our eyes work different to a camera. So in a painting, I suppose we're trying to make things to not look like a photograph. We're trying to create that atmosphere of what perhaps we would see if we were there on the day. So we'll use little tricks like that, you know, by using cooler colours to push things back, softer edges to make things less important. So for instance, those trees off in the distance, I've painted wet into wet into the... So hopefully you're enjoying this video. Please do hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want to join me on memberships to take your watercolours to the next level. The sky, which will give them the soft edges, and then perhaps save the harder edges for the foreground and the warmer colours. So a little bit of green going in, so that tree's obviously closer to us. And I'm using this Skoda Perla, that I use those a lot with the Ultimo, which is also in a Skoda. But also recently I've started using some Rosemary & Co. Sable Blend brushes, which are quite nice. I'm not sponsored by any brush manufacturer, so I'll just use whatever I like to use, and of course then I'll use a combination of the both. But this Skodas are good for those little details, and you can cover large areas as well. And, the points last a long time on them, so they're good brushes. So we've got an accurate drawing, which is going to help us, because if you don't have an accurate drawing, you're going to be trying to fix things that are wrong, and it's not probably because you're painting, it's because of the actual drawing. So you know, if you can't draw it freehand, there's no shame in that if you have to trace or use some kind of mechanical methods, but you will learn to draw by just painting and regularly doing it, that you will get better at it, so don't worry. So the detail underneath the archways is not that important. It just needs to be something there to show us that there's something through there, and it's going to add contrast. Certainly we're getting that strong dark against light on the one on the left, and we don't really want the two the same, so maybe just soften that edge a little bit there. And that just again sends it back and connects things up. And I suppose with watercolour, it's a little bit like you've got to reverse engineer it, that work it back to how it was painted, and it's trickier with a photograph. If you're doing a master study of another painting, it tends to be easier because they've done all the work for you. They've worked out the composition, and you could easier to see how things have been painted. And the few sort of mid-journey images I've used, where I've put my photograph in with one of my paintings and mixed it all up, and it's given me an image. They look like paintings to a certain degree, so it's the same. It's easier to paint from, which is why I use those for demonstrations. But here we're using a photograph, although the composition of the photograph I think was okay, and I took a photograph in a view to be doing a painting. So this old bridge, I think it's 11th century bridge, has got a lot of texture and history to it, so we'll use the watercolour to try and relay that message by throwing a bit of water on and see what happens. And that is, I think, the secret to painting loose watercolours, is to just let things happen, and don't worry too much about being perfect. And I have a lot of people who've joined me on my membership on my website who perhaps have been painting very tight, lots of detail, which I've done myself, but it's very freeing to loosen up and be a bit more spontaneous, but it's very difficult to do. It's difficult to let go, but once you've done it and you do let go, it's great, and you enjoy painting more, I think, because you're less worried about perfection and picking at yourself because that's not perfect, and you kind of learn to just accept those little imperfections and actually embrace them, and you'll be surprised that they can bring a lot to a painting. A little bit of a run back here or a splash here that wasn't intended, or if you've accidentally painted over something, do you need that bit of detail? So just be open to that. So like I say, this was painted not a long time ago, a couple of years ago maybe, and I am painting this as a demonstration, so I probably would paint it slightly differently if I was just painting, but I probably would paint slightly differently now that I think you're always evolving as an artist, so I think probably I would be a little bit looser with it, and I think that's what happens over time, that you do paint looser, less concerned with detail and so on, and your paintings end up being a bit more spontaneous and perhaps a little bit more arty. Is that the right sort of thinking to it? Which I think happened, we're doing these master studies recently on memberships, that that's what we noticed with these master painters. They start off quite detailed and tight, and then towards the end of their careers they're painting extremely loose and creating works of art. So, but I think you do probably need to paint fairly accurately to get through that stage and have a good grounding of how to paint before you can then paint loose. I think if you go straight into just wanting to paint loose, you're just throwing paint onto the paper and just hoping for the best. So I'm just adding a few little bits of detail here, and sometimes if it doesn't really work and you don't want that, you can just wash it off with a bit of water and throw splash some water on, maybe add some other colours to it and see what happens. And sometimes you can get some quite interesting results. But I'm just paying attention to where I see dark areas, where I see light areas. I'll try and dig out the photo for this, and I'll share that on memberships, on the forum perhaps, that if you do join the memberships, tier 1 or tier 2, you get access to our members forum on the website. So I share photos and all sorts on there, so you might want to go to that if you're a member. If you have not joined us yet, I'll be putting an advert in somewhere on this video for details of that. So it's all very grey at the moment, the bridge, so quite nice adding a bit of warmth there. That I'm doing quite a bit at the moment on the memberships, is playing with warm and cool colours. That I think it looks great. So before that bridge dries, I need to paint those reflections in, so the reflections connect to the bridge. And you've got to be patient with watercolour, because a scene like this won't look like anything until you get these darks in. That it'll come to life soon. And it's not a masterpiece, this painting. It's designed for beginners to follow. So I recently shared a video of a full sheet piece of paper of a New York scene, not New York, sorry, LA. And I didn't start with a drawing and just went for it. And it would be very difficult for a beginner to follow that. It was me painting just freely and using all the experience I've got and painting confidently, and it came out really well. But the video didn't actually do very well on YouTube because there's not a lot of help to you wanting to learn to paint watercolors if you're a beginner. Quite interesting to watch maybe. But if you've not watched that video, check it out. Perhaps I'll link it at the end of this video. That I think problem with YouTube is that unless the video is highly exciting at the very beginning, people just swipe away. But this video, that video, perhaps the painting became more interesting towards the end of the video when I put all the details in. And it's a lot of it is the same with these watercolors. They're not particularly exciting. You've got to get through this awkward stage of putting in the little bits of detail, not detail, the first washes, and then the details come in afterwards and bring the painting together. So you've got to be patient and not abandon it too early, because it might just be a case of you need to just stick with it. So it's starting to come together. We can now add a bit of movement on that water by just dragging that brush across there like that. And again, going about edges, we've got hard edges there that create, the eye tends to go to hard edges and contrast. So by having a few hard edges and strong contrast, it's making more about the reflections. And that's what this painting is about. Although it's the bridge, it's about the reflections. And I find the best way with these reflections is to keep them simple, that I'm putting a little bit of detail in there, but not too much that it can just look busy. You'll find the more you paint watercolors, the simpler you keep things, the better they look. And you look at some master watercolor paintings, by Edward Seago and Sargent and so on, yeah, they've got some real complex paintings, but the ones that are done nice and simply, they look great. And we should be looking to learn from that and do the same. So we can use the brush marks to sort of describe the surface. It's a flat surface with a bit of movement, so I used a flat brush there just to drag it across. And I tend to go for the big shapes first, and you need to kind of finish an area like the bridge, for instance, that while it's damp, if I want to put anything in that's got soft edges, that needs to go in now. So, and you don't need to paint every brick, just a suggestion of it will, tell the story that it's a bridge and what it's made of. But you imagine if you were painting this bridge and those archways were off, it would just look awful. And even if it was painted well, it would still look bad. But check your tonal values that tend to be a little bit darker under the archways there, and little things like that can make all the difference. There's a little dark normally where the bridge just hits the water. Obviously the bridge goes underneath the water, but there's perhaps just a little dark edge there. But I'm doing that while it's wet, so it's not going to create two shapes. What you don't want is a bridge and then the water. It's all one bridge in the water. So there's a bit of light hitting the corner of those the bridge there. So we've got a tree here on the left. Don't need to make too much of that. Just suggest the branches. And then what I tend to do, if I remember rightly, I'll just use the side of the brush and just sort of dry brush some texture on there. And the tree on the right is fairly soft. There's a lot of wet into wet, which sends it back a little bit. So maybe some harder edges on this one in the foreground. But again, the painting's not about the trees. It's about the bridge and the reflections. So, you can be quite loose and not go overboard with the detail on that. So far so good. It looks like a shiny surface, the water. And the bridge looks like it's got some old texture, and those trees off in the distance look a long way away. So we now need to do the foreground, and it's very easy to overwork the foregrounds. I'm using the Skoda Ultima brush there with very thick paint on, and just using it to create that illusion of the grass. You know, I don't have the patience to sit there and paint every grass blade, and to be fair, that would look awful, I think. So just a suggestion is all you need. And again, tonal values and warmth, maybe some warmer greens. That, you know, green is considered, I suppose, a cool colour, but it can be warm in compared to other greens. So, you know, it's all relative. So thick paint there, straight from the tube on dry paper. And notice I'm putting the light little flicks there against the dark areas, and they'll have more effect that way. And we can create that illusion of detail just by a few little flicks here, some leaves and so on. And the key is not to overdo it. And sometimes I might add a little bit of white gouache into some paint. I think that's probably cadmium yellow, which is quite opaque anyway. But it's easy to get carried away, but that's fine. But sometimes I could do with myself over my shoulder, telling myself to stop. But that's probably the challenge we all face as artists, is knowing when to stop. And the problem with watercolour, once you've done something too much, you can't take it back. It's done. So that's come out okay. But we're nearly done on the video. So thanks if you've stayed watching the whole process. And I say I would have put some adverts in for my website, that, you know, it's important to be able to keep going doing this with these videos. So the membership is essential to fund it all. And you know, hopefully you're progressing with your watercolours. So a couple of figures on the bridge. It's always good to add some figures, and we can keep them simple. You know, we're only going to see their heads and top parts of their body, and you know, they're going to be tiny, so we don't need any facial features. I think I actually painted them sat on the wall. I think I remember when we were there was a couple of people, you know, just sat on the bridge, just having breakfast. You know, a bit of pan, bit of bread, and talking about what they're going to do. Yeah, they are talking about what they're going to do for the rest of the day, maybe. So again, just adding a bit of warmth under those archways. But these final little marks, you've got to be careful not to overdo it, because like I say, you overdo it and you spoil the freshness. So I'm certainly, the more I paint, the more I'm willing to sacrifice detail over keeping that freshness. And then you take off the tape around the edge, reveals that nice crisp edge, and then you can sort of see it as a finished painting. So that's definitely within you know, your reach. You can paint something like that. It's not a masterpiece what I've done there. You know, it'll get better the more I paint, and the same with you. So don't worry, you know, whatever you paint, you know, that's where you are in your journey. You know, we're all different journeys, but keep progressing, and you know, you'll get to where you want to be. So there you go. Good luck if you decide to give it a go. There you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please do hit the like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description, and watch this video next if you enjoyed this one, because you're going to love this one.